whispering so I don't wake up the engineer. It is 3:30 in the morning. See? I know. I've been laying in bed for about an hour and I just can't sleep. And I have so many projects on my mind. I had to sneak into my sewing room and start working on them. What do you do when you wake up in the morning and you can't go back to sleep, or when you can't go back to sleep? How many of you are insomniac quilters? I think we should take account. So in the comments below, tell me what you do when you wake up in the middle of the night or the early morning and can't go back to sleep. Anyway, my sewing room is close to my bedroom, and I just kind of come in my bare feet, my jammies. You got the real me. That's all I can say. I'm going to finish this project today. I love it. It's my gingham grid quilt. And look at the cute little strawberries I quilted it in. I hope you can see them. I'll make sure to show them to you later on in the video. I quilted it in with cuddle on the back. There's no other better quilt. You just don't want to unwrap yourself from it. I'm going to put the binding on today so my granddaughters can use it when they come. Let me show you the back. Isn't that just darling, those little strawberries? I think that pattern is so stinking cute. I put it on the long arm and I said to the engineer, I just don't know what to quilt it in. And he said, well, strawberries. I think I'm going to start this project first, though. It's just a very colorful quilt. It picks up the colors in the stars. This is it's called a no point star, and it's on Cluck Cluck Sew's website. It's one of her free patterns. You snowball the points for these stars, and that's why you'll always have nice points on all of your stars. But I need to get the borders on this. I'm going to go ahead and work on this first and get my borders on, and then I'm going to go ahead and focus on getting my strawberry quilt done. I'm going to start with the inner borders on this. The length of this quilt runs on this line, and it's 61 and about 61 1/4 inches. So I'm going to start by pinning on the border, the first inner border on the end. And the first thing you do when you do a border, and I've told you this in other videos, but I'm going to follow my advice, and I'm going to pin the border on both ends, and then I'm going to work to ease it in to make sure it fits and there's no pulls or stretches or tugs on this. So I'm stretching it out quite a bit. It looks like it's going to fit, but I'm going to come down here to the center of the quilt, place a pin, and then on this piece right here, I'll continue placing pins so it's not going to slide or move around. Then there's this portion of the quilt. We're going to lay this out like so. 61 inches isn't really a lot of border to work with. It's those Cal King quilts with borders that give a quilter pause to say, what in the world was I thinking? Anyway, this is going to be a nice little lap quilt, and I'm going to go ahead and pin the border on the other side as well. And of course, I'm pinning it right sides to right sides. So it's a little after 4:30 and I finished the borders on this quilt. I just wanted to show it to you. It's a kitty cat quilt and it's for a friend. It's a surprise, but the good news is she doesn't watch the YouTube channel. So let me show you a close-up because it's kind of cute. And I don't have my lights on, so I hope you can see, but there's little rainbow kitty cats in it. And that's where I got all of the colors for the Kona solids behind the quilt. And then in the border, it's kitty cat paw material. So she's a real cat lover. But this is kind of her surprise for her retirement, and I can get it done. I'm going to quilt it with black cuddle on the back, and she will have a really fun, snuggly little lap quilt. Now I'm going to get on to my binding on my strawberry quilt. I have the binding all cut out and sewn together, and I'm just going to finish pressing this. I'm just going to go ahead and change my machine to this pink thread. I think I said earlier it was rose petal. It's actually light rose. And then we're going to get some binding done barefoot and in our jammies. Can't wait to finish this quilt. Okay, we are ready to go. I don't use one of the binding buddies like a lot of people do, or I don't roll my binding. I just kind of set it on the floor, actually just kind of drop it on the floor very loosely, and that's that, and just pull up. Seems like I finish projects so quickly that I don't have time to put them on one of the little, I just don't have time to roll them up. I just go ahead and, like I say, finish it, put it on the floor, and get it on my quilt. Okay, and here we go. Turn this down a little bit so you can see. So in binding, you sew it on with a 1/4 inch seam. But what I always do is I always start in the middle on one of the sides of the quilt, holding it with my fingers as I go. Oops. And I'm ready to stitch it on. So I've got my quilt laid out on my table so there's no pull or drag. I leave about a 8-inch tail, and I'm going to stitch the binding down at a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So I'm going to sew the binding till I get to about a 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the quilt. And then I'm going to lift my presser foot and pivot and sew that right off the quilt. This is how you turn a corner on a quilt. I'm going to fold the binding back like this, hold it down, and then fold it forward. And I've made a little corner. And then I'm going to pin it in so it stays. Then pick up my stitching again at 1/4 inch. Always stop to remove your pins. It's finished. I have it all bound, and let me just give you a close-up of this cute quilting pattern, those little strawberries with their leaves. I just think that is perfect for this quilt. Here is a close-up of my stitching on the binding, and as you can see, it's so even, and that's because I use a binding foot to keep that little line perfect. Something else I wanted to show you, I told you that I used a pink thread, and if you take a look, you can see that this is slightly pink on the white or the cream portion. So this is just such a yummy quilt. It's going to be so cozy, so much fun. Great finish. So glad I have it done. As you can see, I finally fell asleep after I finished both projects. Now, the engineer came in and found me like this and snapped this picture. Then he woke me up. And I have to tell you, it feels so good to have both projects done. Do you have projects that are keeping you awake at night? I'd love to hear what they are. Tell me about them in the comments section below.